You're right there watching the same stuff I'm watching. What did Trey look like last year? What does he look like this year? What is the difference from this year to last year?
I don't think there is a difference. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I went back and I was looking at, we talked about this a few weeks ago, and then I went back after practice on Wednesday, and I looked back at what I wrote after last season's OTAs about Trey Lance's performance. And, a lot of talk about quicker release, the accuracy being better. Last year during OTAs and minicamp, Trey Lance completed 74.5% of his passes, actually 74.6. This year, he was at 63.6. The only way he gets to the numbers that he put up last year is if you add the 6 drops that he had against them, and then he gets to the same number. But he had drops last year too, so that those aren't perfect numbers. What I saw from Trey Lance, I do agree with you. I think there was a little bit looser feel to his game. You could see the ball at times be a little bit better in terms of the rotation on the ball. I felt like Tuesday's practice was the best we saw from him all off season. There was a series of plays late in practice where I think it was 3 of them where he rips the ball down the field, to different various receivers, Ayuk and Danny Gray and so on. It was a really nice stretch for him to finish off practice. But that's not anything that we haven't seen from him already. We saw that from him last year in training camp, where there would be parts of camp where he'd be really good, and you'd be like, "Damn, this is the guy." And then there's the other parts where it's like, that's not so much. And these guys are going to go through ups and downs throughout practices. That's to be understood. I just don't see him necessarily being much different than he was in the past. And Kyle Shanahan said it too, not to us, but. Where he felt like last year, if Lance had been in throughout the entire season, he would have been able to put up numbers similar to Brock Purdy. And, I think he's basing that off of what we just saw too. I mean, he doesn't look different than what he has in years past. You're seeing the same things from him. But it's just a matter of him getting reps, and maybe he becomes more consistent with it.
It's funny. I heard Matt Barrows doing an interview, and he was talking about how him and Lombardi chart the throws as well, and that he actually thinks that it's reflective because he says that, that Trey's been, in the mid-50s completion percentage-wise, and then if you go back and look at his, his game stuff going back to North Dakota, that's basically where he is. So he actually feels like, that the charting of the passes in camp is a useful exercise and does reflect what you're going to see on the field. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, especially when you take into account what they're doing during the team portion. So from what Matt is saying, and I agree with him, you look at what Trey Lance did in training camp last offseason. He was around 57, 58% in training camp last year. That's around where his total career number is in that 57, 58% range. You look at his numbers from this last offseason, these 4 practices. During the team portions, like I said, he's 12 of 21. That's 57.8%, right around there. That's right around where he's been throughout his entire career. Yeah, he has a couple of drops, like I said. He had the interception. The drops, he had drops last year, so forget that part of it. The interception, I think is one that you look at the way that interception occurred. Trey Lance has had a problem with getting balls batted down at the line of scrimmage in his career, and it's still there. He's a little late. The off defensive lineman, is watching his eyes, does a really nice job, gets up, gets his hands on it, and brings it down. And we've seen Lance do this stuff in the past.
A couple supers, 2 gray beard hairs, great moniker. He says, "Can someone please tell Grant to feed his cat?" I have no idea what that's about.